don't you?
Oh yeah, I hope not. They know better than to do that on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, what do
cool.
we got going on this week?
Yeah, so today I'm super excited. We have Caleb Bennett. He's a veteran. We're going to talk a little bit about guns, hunting, the outdoors of Idaho, as well as getting into some of the real estate market here in the valley as well. So
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'll bring up the topics. I know everybody liked my thumbnail. It says Biden bans AR-15s. That actually hasn't happened. He's talking about, but I think in his head he actually did. So that's why I used that. So, anyways, we're talking about kind of touching a little bit on VA loans, the Biden ban, current housing market, U.S. and Idaho, updated forecast, VA benefits, tax exemptions for veterans and their properties, and something I didn't put in here is hunting.
yes,
So,
yeah.
You got anything you want to say, Josh, before we jump into it?
Yeah, no, if you're just tuning in, we give us a like button. We don't know how this video is going to do since we have guns in the title, but I think it's something important that we're going to talk about as the president of the United States came out yesterday and said that he's going to ban AR-15. So we figured,
seems like every time the
so what better
around.
time than now to talk about what is Idaho's gun laws? What does that look like, as well as going into real estate and stuff? So super excited for that. Super excited we have a guest, Caleb. He's not a real estate agent. He is just a local Idahoan, born and raised, and loves to hunt, fish, all that kind of stuff. You can see, is that a deer that you got or your wife?
Yeah, that's one that I got. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see that in the background there.
And you're a veteran, correct?
Yes, sir.
What service?
Yep. Army, 4 years.
Army, 4 years.
Yeah.
And you've been overseas, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. What conflicts?
Afghanistan.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, I was Iraq and Afghanistan too as well. So got some common ground there. So yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, we got some questions bleeding from last week because we went a little long. Josh, I just want you to kind of go over this a little bit because we did have some questions about the foreclosure video. Foreclosure, short sales, and bank owned. From KM, I did watch the whole live post, but what was the difference between these foreclosure, short sales, etc., from the buyer's perspective? I know you're talking about this, but they're not sure if they fully understand. We're the best. I appreciate that, and you love to disrupt their title now. Cool. I made that, so we threw that in there. So if you want to go ahead and jump on that real quick.
Yeah, so I'll jump on that real quick. So short sale essentially is the bank is willing to let the person sell their house for shorter than what it's actually owed on the house. And so that's why the short sale is actually a long sale, because there has to be negotiating and a bank has to be willing to sell it for less than what is owed on the house. That's where the short sale comes from. The HUD, that's gone back to the government, and now they're selling it. And so sometimes they have stipulations like only primary residences can buy. That's how my wife and I bought our first HUD home, which is housing of urban development. And so that's how we bought our first. It's only for primary. Sometimes there's restrictions only for primary. Sometimes there's not. And then the bank owned, right? The bank just takes it back over. And then foreclosure is somebody's been missing their payments, and then the bank is foreclosing, trying to get their money back. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. We can dive deeper later.
Yep, of course. Another question too we want to go over, would lowering the prices of new homes and existing homes to pre-COVID-19 levels boost housing demand and make mortgage payments less expensive? I guess it depends. You can go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, I think it would boost demand because right now it's the affordability, and we have sellers that are we have some sellers that are not really with what's going on in the housing market, as well as some real estate agents. So they're trying to get too much money out of their house. But as soon as those drop, and we've already seen this too, right? When people get into like a decent house drops into the low threes in Canyon County, or even in Meridian, once they drop to the low fours, then there is some buyer demand. Now that's prior to the 7% interest rates that we just got this last week, which is kind of hurting the market again. But if those prices continue to drop, which would be another 10, 20%, then yeah, I believe that buyer demand would be coming back.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to let everybody know that's jumping on right now. We are going to go over some real estate related material right now, a couple minutes on that. Then we'll get into obviously the reason you clicked on the video, because the Biden ban. So we'll get into that. One more question here, Josh. From Boulder Ghost from last week, getting to an inflection point where inventory doesn't matter. What we're seeing in Boise is 99% demand destruction, not to be mistaken with desire to purchase, but rather the ability to purchase. This is a reality that most agents ignore. Total demand destruction and rates are only going to go higher.
Yeah.
Reactions on that?
Yeah. Well, I think if we go to the next slide, this totally goes into play here.
Totally. Well, before we go to there, he says this reality that most agents ignore. Do you feel that a lot of them ignore this point?
I think so. I mean, we were negotiating on a house over the week, and I just brought up to the agent, like, hey, interest rates just jumped up to 7%. And she didn't quite understand what we're talking about. She's only sold, actually in the Idaho market, she hasn't sold anything.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't really following what I was explaining to her.
Yeah.
But
well, 100% on there. I'll let you jump into the treasuries here.
Yeah. So we just saw this, right? We saw this jump. If you look at the bottom where it says FEB, Feb, and now in March, you can see that huge jump, about 50 basis points, over 50 basis points in just 30 days, which has changed our interest rates up to 7% now. So primary home ICCU is showing a 7% interest rate on a purchase for a conventional loan, which is, again, about a 10% decrease in purchasing power. And so I'll
throw the slide up there for you.
Thank you. So in just a matter of 30 days, we saw a jump and actually a decrease in buyer affordability. And we haven't seen this kind of jumps, according to a loan lender, since May. So that's kind of if you remember what happened back in May when we were kind of sounding the alarm, hey, we're probably going to see 30% decrease in 2022.
Which again, everybody calls crazy. So
yes. Yeah, we got called crazy. No way this is going to happen. And, which it didn't hit 30%, it hit 20%. So, we were off a little bit there, but we saw a huge jump that we haven't seen since.
Right. And I think it's important to tell people too, that, I mean, this is obviously local to us, ICCU. I mean, but these rates, I mean, it's pretty high.
Yeah. From
what we've seen, especially with the VA fix too, as well, because traditionally that's a little lower, but it's right there.
Yep.
It's crazy.
For sure.
And jump into the affordability
index.
index.
And so this is the last thing about the affordability is this chart goes to December. And we know the interest rates are higher today than they were in December. And in December, the affordability was lower than it was back in 2006, 2007. So that just speaks volume to kind of the market that we're in and that people are overlooking, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, let's get into it. So reason we're on here live today is because a lot of people are contacting us. They're talking about, gun rights, gun laws in Idaho, people relocating, and some people that just live here and they don't know. So we're kind of throwing this out there. We got a veteran here. I'm a veteran as well. We both avid gun owners. You're probably more of a hunter than I am, so you're probably out in public land, so you can talk about that here in a bit. You too, Josh. So, but yeah, let's get into it anyways. Biden's back at it again. Biden vows to ban assault weapons, which it seems like he says that every year, come hell or high water. Found it interesting he's saying that. I know I have made some of you. I know you made. I'm talking like him now. I know I've made you uncomfortable, but the state above me, Delaware, isn't one of them. Has the highest rate of gun ownerships. But guess what? We're gonna ban assault weapons again, come hell or high water, and the magazine capacities. The reason I'm talking like that is because my screen's flickering over here, so that's my excuse. Anyways, he's back at it, and he's gonna ban them. I mean, what's reactions on that?
Yeah, I'll let you I'll let you guys go on this first, and then I'll
just jump right in. It seems like every election cycle, we get closer, this comes up, because they got to re-energize his base, and it seems like we have bigger issues, like train derailments, infrastructure, and I don't know, the fentanyl crisis going on, and hundreds of thousands of people dying a year from things coming across the border and everywhere else. But this is what we want to focus our time on right now. I mean, we want to go after law-abiding citizens.
Yeah. This is a hard thing because it goes back to, and I'm sorry if this can upset some of our audience, but it goes back to the fact that the law-abiding citizens aren't the ones that are committing the crimes. It's the ones that aren't abiding by the law. And so if you create these laws to make it harder for citizens to protect themselves, then that's just going to give criminals a better opportunity to do criminal activity. But that's
and that corresponds with Illinois, Chicago. I forget which documentary I watched, but at one point they were just calling it Chirac because the law-abiding citizen was law-abiding. The others weren't. They were just running amok, doing what they want. It's one of the most gun-restricted states, cities, has cameras, 4 or 5 cameras on every light pole watching everybody, and it's still going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's thankfully we're in Idaho, where it's a lot more less restricted, a little more freedoms.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump into that as well, so people understand. So I'm gonna read some of the points here.
So this is Idaho
Yep.
specific. We're not lawyers. We're not like experts at the law, but we just want to bring this to you because we have a lot of our audience is not here in Idaho. So we want to make sure you guys are aware that our laws are different than other states, obviously. But what are those differences? And so that's where we're kind of going into this as we're going to talk about maybe hunting and fishing and the outdoors.
Right. And for a lot of you that don't know, this is coming verbatim right from the Idaho Gov website, kind of paraphrased here, but we're just going to, so purchasing firearms, there is no state permit required for the purchase of any rifle, shotgun, or handgun. That doesn't mean that you don't need a background check, which we're going to get into a little bit, which the media likes to misconstrue as people can just go walk into a gun store like a grocery store and go buy firearms. It doesn't happen like that.
Nope.
There's no state permit that is required to possess a rifle, shotgun, or handgun. A minor under 18 must have permission or be accompanied by a parent or guardian, or a minor under the 12 must both have permission and accompanied by an adult. So I find that kind of interesting as well, kind of reading it into that.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of this too is it goes along with going hunting, right? So, Caleb, before the show started, we were kind of talking about how one of your daughters is going through hunter's education, right? Because she's going to go out and she's going to, be like mom and dad and go shoot maybe a deer or an elk or a bear or whatever it may be. And you're not just going to send her out there with a gun, right? You are going to, you're going to occupy. And I know you're a big advocate of training people how to use guns properly.
Absolutely.
And so it's not, I don't know. I think people who own guns, they at least here, the people that I know, they're wanting to teach their kids or teach the other people around them gun safety, as well as, like the fear of a gun. And, but what do you guys have to say about that?
I mean, there's idiots everywhere. It doesn't matter if you have knives, cars, dropping refrigerators on somebody or have a gun. I mean, there's going to be an idiot somewhere out there that's going to do something. But that's what I love about this state is people. I mean, the vast majority of people are respectful and they follow the rules, and they're safe out there. And most people I meet out on the trails. I mean, I'm out everywhere on public land. You point a firearm at somebody, that's intent to kill. So I mean, nobody's like, everybody's very respectful of the surroundings, especially children too. That's what I mean, we raise her with a lot of people that everybody carries out here. And I mean, it's great.
Because you don't know if you're going to run into a bear, I mean, there's things.
It's safety.
And
then people get villainized for it because, they have, an AR-15 strapped to the back and then, a sidearm. That's fine. I mean, it's safety out there. I'd like to see these people out there that have no idea what they're talking about by firearm safety and out there trying to survive from all those creatures out there, or from people. I mean, some crazy people out there as well. So
exercising your right. It's you have a right to bear and keep arms, whether that be out on the trail, hunting, fishing in Alaska where bears are going to come get you, or just one of those avid gun owners that collects. That's your right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll jump into the concealed because there's a lot of misinformation, I believe, on the concealed. I'll kind of read this whole thing, and I apologize. My screen.
You're gonna read the whole thing?
Yeah, I think it's important. My screen's kind of flickering, so it's kind of hard to read a little bit. So, Idaho statute allows residents 18 years of age not disqualified from having a permit to carry a concealed firearm statewide, without a permit, except in certain designated places, including a courthouse, juvenile detention center, jail facility, private schools, or public schools, unless authorized. A person does not have a concealed weapons license. A person who does not have a concealed weapons
does not have to have a concealed weapons license.
Yeah, to carry or be in possession of a deadly weapon or firearm in the following circumstances. I'll kind of skip over that. I'll go over there. Basically, a deadly weapon concealed by a person who is over 18 years of age. It is unlawful for a person to carry a concealed weapon on or about his persons intoxicated or under the influence or engaging in drinking or drug use. I mean, I think that's pretty common sense right there. But yeah.
So I just want to hit a couple things. So a person does not have to have a concealed weapons license, so they don't have to have a concealed carry license. and if the weapon is in plain view. So there's open carry here in Idaho. I
Yep.
haven't really seen people do open carry. Maybe a couple times at the grocery store, somebody has something on their hip that people can see. But if it's in plain view, according to this, you don't have to have a concealed weapons permit to do that, or to have possession of a shotgun or rifle, right? So you don't have to have that. A lot of people in our area like to go out duck hunting, goose hunting, dove, pheasant. There's other big game like moose, bear, and that kind of stuff. So you don't have to have a concealed weapons for that. You don't have to have one to have to conceal it in a motor vehicle. So that's something that is a little different. I believe, maybe you can help me on this, Jonathan, but in Oregon, you can't have a concealed weapon in your glove box. Is that correct?
Yeah, Oregon changes every day. I mean, we don't talk about that far land I
Yeah.
came from years ago, but yeah. I mean, when I was there, I mean, you had to have it locked in a glove box. Ammunition had to be separated from it. Couldn't be in hand's reach.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely difficult if you're in a situation. Explain to me how you're going to protect yourself in that situation if something happens.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yep.
So,
But yeah, and it just kind of follow up here. It is unlawful for a minor to possess or provide a minor with a handgun, fully automatic weapon, or sawed-off shotgun, regardless of parental consent, except as specifically provided. Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting in there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Those fully automatic weapons are, federally illegal anyways without a tax stamp. So on there. Some things I just want to go over here. The reason I threw this in there is Idaho has its own constitution for right to bear arms. No permit required to open carry in Idaho. Concealed carry permit is a shall issue state. I know that I have an enhanced carry permit, but you don't need it unless there's the certain circumstances you do need it. I'm kind of paraphrasing on there. Castle doctrine, very important. Idaho has a castle doctrine law that provides legal protection to person who uses deadly force to defend themselves against others as intruder who has unlawfully entered their home.
So can you explain that a little bit? So are you telling me if I was in my house, somebody broke into my house and I pulled a gun out to defend myself and I shot them, is that what the castle doctrine is kind of talking about?
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak on that.
But is that kind of what I'm reading here?
Yes, so it verbatim says you have the right to defend yourself against a intruder who has unlawfully entered their home, occupied vehicle, or business. So, we could get into the statutes there. People probably should do their own research to understand what's going on
100%
there.
people should do that. We're just kind of doing an overview because people ask us about what's going on in Idaho.
But it is one of the few states you can do that.
Yeah.
Idaho also has a stand your ground law, which means that a person may use deadly force to defend themselves against others without a duty to retreat, which is really important because a lot of states require you to retreat if they reasonably believe that such force is necessary to protect themselves or others from imminent harm as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And background checks. Idaho does not require background checks for private self-transfer firearms, which I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think it's still important. If you have a scheduled individual, you should probably be doing that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And something I found interesting too, as well, is a prohibition on seizure of firearms during emergencies. Idaho has a law that prohibits the seizure of firearms or ammunition by government officials during a state emergency, obviously, unless the seizure is necessary. But
so we, even in a state of emergency, essentially our Second Amendment is protected here.
Correct.
In Idaho.
Yeah,
that's great.
awesome.
This is a slide that I really like because it talks about what states have the best stances as far as gun rights go, and Idaho is one of the top 5. Right, they're in the top 5 for the ratings here.
Yeah, well, I cut all the states off here, but it ties with number 1 as well on there.
So
great. And just some FAQs. Does Idaho recognize concealed weapon licenses from other states? Yes. However, while in Idaho, you must carry the license on the person at all times when you are carrying a concealed weapon. Kind of need to dig into that a little bit because I've gone back and forth on, what kind of legalities are on there, but it's good to know as well. Yep. All right, Josh.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about veterans, and there's a couple of things that veterans get here in Idaho that with disability or certain income thresholds. And so that's why kind of Caleb and Jonathan are on here, because there's a property tax benefit for people who have a disability through the VA, but then also if they hit a certain threshold, and this is for property taxes. So if you own a home and you this is a different exemption, property tax exemption, than the Homestead Act. So it's different than the $125,000 off of your assessed value that's being taxed off. This is straight off of your property tax bill. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, I will read it. Property tax benefit for disabled veterans. You might qualify for this program if you are Idaho resident, homeowner, and qualify with a veteran 100% service-connected disability. This program could reduce the property tax in your home up to 1 acre of land and as much as $1,500. So what they're doing, like you just said, Josh, they're taking that extra $1,500 off that 125 that comes off as well.
Yeah.
And essentially, for a lot of people, it could wipe out their property tax completely, depending on the assessed value of your property, of course.
And this is statewide. This isn't just for Ada County.
Statewide, correct. Which I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, no, that's not swept under the rug, but it's not widely disseminated to the veterans here.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of our veteran clients. I mean, I push this pretty heavily because a lot of them, are at that percentage. I mean, there's been circumstances that I've heard. It's not anywhere on here, but I've heard that between 180% can kind of be prorated, but it depends on eligibility requirements as well.
Yeah.
This is who qualifies. The disabled veteran benefit does not have an income limit. So as we were talking about earlier.
So this one is, I just want to clarify, this is just for the disability. So there is one income based, but this is disability based.
The income based is the circuit breaker. Yeah, and this is a different type of circuit breaker. You might qualify this program in 2023 if both apply. You are recognized as a veteran with 100% service-connected disability or receive 100% compensation due to individual unemployability by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs as of January 1st. Obviously, the property must have a current homeowner's exemption in place, and the home can be a mobile home.
Yeah. And can you clarify, if you have 90% or 80%, can you still take advantage of this? Are you aware of that, Jonathan?
I've heard that people can. I mean, there's some situations some people talk to, but obviously it's talking about 100% here. But the people are awesome there that at the assessor's offices, you call them and talk to them, they answer all the questions you have about that. Yeah, it's really great. It's a good program to take advantage of.
Okay.
Well.
And have either of you guys been able to, I'm not sure where you guys stand, but have either of you guys worked with them down there to try to get this?
Yeah, they're great. And this year I just found out you can actually apply online, which is really nice. Or you just go down to the assessor's office and just talk to them. And they're great people. They're super friendly. Be in and out in 5 minutes with what you need. The biggest thing for a lot of people is trying to get their documents, but obviously easy way to get that is va.gov or eBenefits. It has everything you need in there.
Okay.
Or just drive down to the VA and talk to a VSO.
Have you ever tried, Caleb?
No, this will be my first year because, like I said, it's not widely disseminated. I've lived here my whole life. Even when I moved back here after the Army, I had no idea this thing was there, and now I do.
Okay, all right. So now you're gonna maybe take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that was back in 2010. So I mean, 13 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't want to leave everybody else off the table. We're talking about veteran bins here. There is the circuit breaker, of course. There is income circuit breakers, income-based circuit breakers, and different type of disabilities, non-veteran status of circuit breakers to help people with their property taxes. Because as we all know from last year, with the extreme hike of the home values, a lot of people's values went insane, which threw their escrow accounts off.
We had a comment from somebody actually where they shared their escrow was short, and then their monthly payment jumped $300 a month because of the home values. And I think that's something that's really hard about property values going up, because you can see the equity. But I mean, last year I personally went down and I fought my assessed value because I didn't want them to say, oh, my house is worth this. So I went back and I fought it, and I had to go back and appeal it and that kind of stuff. And they did drop the assessed value, and it took time away, but I didn't want to have to pay that full amount. I'm like, no. I bought it for X. I don't want my property value to jump up like this. So you can fight those things to help your property, but it's within a certain time frame. Which reminds me, the VA disability exemption has to be filed every single year, and it has to be filed before April 15th. So those are
throw that up for you right there.
It has to, for 2023, it has to be filed before April 18th. So if you know any veterans, or just let them know, because whether the veteran is 100% disabled or maybe they're not have any disability, at least let them know so that they can maybe do their research and see if they can take advantage of this, because, that's, to me, that's a very small price to pay for what you guys have done. So I think it's very, I think it's important we let people know that.
Here's the crazy part. A lot of people don't know. So my last refinance on a house, so kind of going on the VA loans, every single house I've purchased since 2015 is being a VA loan. So that's 4 homes now off the VA loan. So I was able to purchase the home, 0 down, 100% financing, build the equity, sell it after 2 years, have no capital gains, and repeat that process, obviously, until we're in this environment we're in right now. So I'm kind of on hold on that. The crazy part is the last purchase, I was able to use this tax exemption to bring my taxes down, which brought my mortgage payment down, which gave me a bigger qualifying number because the taxes didn't count against me.
Wow.
So depending on your lender, and I think that was lender dependent, but
Mhm.
they're able to take that into account, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah. Anything else on that, guys?
No, actually, I want to hit on one thing that you brought up.
Yeah.
That I was talking to somebody about this, and they weren't aware of. I was talking to a past client, because he's going through. He doesn't know if he wants to rent out his house or if he wants to sell it. And I brought up the $250,000 or $500,000 of tax-free profit that you can get. So if let's say you bought a house back in 2016 and you're sitting on $300,000 worth of equity, and you want to sell the house and get that equity. Now, I'm not a tax advisor, but you need to know about this, because even some people have the misconception of, I just have to roll it into another property, which for a primary residence, that's false, right? So you can have, if you're single, you can have up to $250,000 of profit if it's your primary home within the last 2 years. So you have to hit that 2-year mark, and it's tax-free. And so if you're married, it goes all the way up to $500,000. And so that's something that I just, so Caleb, if you bought your house, 5 years ago or whatever, and now you're sitting on just a chunk of equity, and you're like, maybe I'd cash out. You can make up to, because you're married, you can make up to $500,000 at tax-free. So, anyways, that's.
Did you know?
No, that's half the battle, is just knowing.
Problem is you got to find a place to go to now. So
Yeah.
Right.
exactly. You want to get some of these questions real quick? Josh,
Yeah, we
before
can
get
hit
to
some of
land?
these questions, and then we'll keep going.
Okay. Awesome. From FG, I turned notifications on, but I did not notify me. So this is something we're dealing with the last couple of weeks, is our numbers on YouTube have pretty much been cut in half. Numbers have been cut in half. So we're trying to figure out why that's happening. But a lot of people are telling me that they're not getting notified. They're not seeing our videos. But,
Yeah.
so
So if you haven't liked this video, make sure you hit that bell. And, we're sorry, we don't know how to combat this, because you're probably the 5th or 6th person within the last couple of weeks that told us you haven't been notified. So sorry about that.
Awesome. See, do you think Mountain Home market will hold firm because of military buyers?
The problem is, you guys can speak to this better, but the military, you guys aren't making buco bucks, correct? Like you aren't rolling in $100,000, $200,000 a year. Unless, right? I mean, unless maybe you're an officer. Do officers roll in that?
Well, I think they're talking about the people that are in and out of their duty station and coming back and forth. And, I think that's kind of a small market. I think I'm sure it helps.
But the thing is, the Mountain Home market shot up too.
Yeah.
So what I'm going in at is the affordability of Mountain Home. So the thing with Mountain Home and the military base being out there, you don't have, military, you guys serve us, which is amazing, but you guys aren't making tons of money. And with the home prices shooting up in Mountain Home, I think there's some adjustment that's going to be happening.
Yeah. And someone just commented on their 2100 housing pay. I mean, there's a lot of variables in there. That saying
Dependence, BAH.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on people in and out, I guess, what's going on, the current environment, if people are deploying or not. I mean, selling, buying. I mean, I think it helps the market. We can definitely look into numbers there.
Yeah. Well, he put in there, he's getting, they get $2,100 a month in housing pay. Is that sound correct?
Yeah. I guess depending on rank.
Yeah.
What Brandon is, but we appreciate that.
But the problem is, let me just do a mortgage calculator real quick while you go into the next thing, because
you've got the casino that might be popping up in Mountain Home too. That who knows that.
Sure, a lot of people will be spending money.
Value up, value down.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely. Another question from Sam. Hi, my offer just got accepted today.
Hey,
Brand,
congratulations.
yeah,
Congrats.
brand new house will be complete next month. Decided not to wait for the interest rates to skyrocket. I mean, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of bad news out there, but it seems like you're super excited about it, and that's really all that matters. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do what makes you feel comfortable. We just want to congratulate on that, and not sure where you're located at, but hope you really enjoy and hope you got what you wanted there.
Okay, so real quick, now the VA loan, you don't have personal mortgage insurance, right? You can do 100% financing. So if you did 100% financing, Brandon, you would have to buy a home right around $280,000 with property taxes floating around $2,200 a year and homeowners insurance at $1,000 a year just to cover that, $2,100. So if you had more money that you could put towards it, but mountain home prices are still higher than the 280 for the median sales price. Yeah. So median sales price still needs to come down, but yeah, there's definitely stability when there's government jobs, like downtown Boise, there's a lot of government jobs in Boise, and stuff like that. So
got a fun comment here from Stanley Sled. Wow, I can't believe how bad this channel has become. The bearded guy was bad enough, but now you added this Caleb guy, just terrible. Well, I mean, there is an unsubscribe button, so you're more welcome to do that. We appreciate you being here for what you did. But wow. He says, I've been a long time subscriber, but today the conversation is too much. Well, wow. We're sorry that we offended you, but these are laws and rights. Yeah, it's laws and rights we have in the state of Idaho, and people want to know about them. And, if we choose to exercise them, we are. And we're just going to, that's verbatim off the Idaho Gov website. So yeah. I'm not sure how that can offend you, but
yeah. Sorry about that.
More than welcome to go back to your safe space, and we will continue. And yeah, I mean, sucks.
We can't make everybody happy, but yeah. But the reality is, I believe in owning guns. I like taking my kids out hunting. I like teaching them gun safety. Right now my kids aren't. My oldest is getting ready to go through hunter's ed. My other ones, we're teaching them gun safety through BB guns, and they can shoot 22s. And reality is, I believe in the Second Amendment, so I don't have anything really. I don't want to apologize for coming on here and talking about this kind of stuff.
No,
that's I'm sorry, Stanley, that it doesn't work for you.
It's not even. It's just driving me nuts. Like the society is becoming so warped. This is your Second Amendment right. These are your rights you're afforded. You don't have to carry a firearm. You don't have to go buy a firearm. But you know what? We people who want to, we can. And that was afforded by people generations and generations and generations ago that fought for a right to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go live in another country that you cannot, and you cannot defend yourself, and you can go buy a firearm, and you can be attacked, and you have no chance of protecting your family. This is, I can just go on a tangent. It's just sickening what's going on. Like
it is, especially. I mean, here's the thing: both you guys laid down your lives to go serve our country. So you left homes, you left lifestyles here to go defend our country for our freedoms. And I'm not afraid to bring it on veterans. I'm sorry. That's just who I am.
No apologies.
I appreciate that.
So okay.
Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What happens when the wind stops blowing in Mountain Home? Everything falls over. That's a good joke. I like it. That's probably true. That's funny. Yeah.
Okay. One thing the Mountain Home has that I appreciate is the Bruno sand dunes. That is one thing I appreciate.
There's a lot of beauty in Mountain Home on the outskirts of the base. The sagebrush, the dunes, the canyons, the caves. Lots of cool stuff out there.
Yeah. And Stanley's coming back, says, obviously he's talking about our views. They're cut in half because you're terrible. Dump the bearded guy. I'm sure they'll come back. Well, looks like we dumped you today. So
problem is I can't grow beard. So we have to have somebody who looks like they're older than 16.
I'm not even on your other videos, Josh. So yeah, we'll get into another one here. Yeah. And I just say, we are, we're real estate agents here. We live in Idaho. Yeah. And this is the way we feel. It's like, you don't have to be part of this channel if that's not the way you feel. If you feel differently, we love to engage in, open dialogue and understand why. But when you come out and just be that way, I mean, there's obviously you're a closed door already. Yeah. So cool. Anyways, the Brave Movement. My wife and I are planning to head out to Idaho from Florida this summer. We are very much looking forward to the mountains, outdoor lifestyle, hunting, and 4 seasons. Well, this is great because Caleb, you can take this one.
Yeah, Caleb, hit on that. What is your? Let's just say, what are your top 3 favorite things to do here in Idaho?
Mountains, hunting, foraging. Love. It's everything I do is family. We'll get out, go camping in the mountains. We'll get out, go hunting and fishing together. We'll get out, go find mushrooms and huckleberries together. And then we'll get out and just hike. Just, hey, cool. 2 miles up to this mountain peak and let's check out the view. Yeah.
And just to
Yeah.
clarify, you're not talking about the mushrooms that make you, see
No,
things. You're talking about
not
morels.
morels,
Yeah.
chanterelles, oysters,
Yeah.
edible, fine cuisine,
Yeah.
mushrooms.
Now this last year, how many, because you guys found a bunch of huckleberries and a bunch of morel mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is like an annual thing for you and your wife and your girls, right?
Yep. Yeah. So last summer wasn't too good for huckleberries down here low. If you got up to the elevation around 5,000 plus feet, then you get into really good huckleberries. It was too dry down
Mhm.
low. But mushrooms were good. One day we went out, picked 38-ish pounds of
Oh, wow.
morels. And
That's a lot.
yeah. I mean, it was a whole day.
Where
My
where you
little
usually
one,
go? 5,000 feet. You going to like the Wahoos, or where are you going?
north.
Without giving your secret spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Target parking lot.
Yeah.
Target-
Exactly. Walmart, yeah. Well, I mean, I
Uh,
kind of jump in there. The outdoor lifestyle. I mean, I'm not one to go. I mean, I like hiking and taking my family out there and kids, but obviously, Josh, we got the razors, and
The biggest thing that I'm stressing about right now is how are we going to create videos, because I love going camping in the summer and and the spring and the fall, and it's coming right
I
around
guess
the
we're gonna
corner.
have to do it on site. We're gonna have to get that Starlink. So
Oh
we'll
gosh,
get it up.
man.
yeah, do it remote.
But where I was going there, I mean, we're out every single weekend on the razors, and I mean, there's just miles. I mean, hundreds of miles and miles and miles of things to explore. I mean, you will not get bored. Definitely.
Yeah.
Headed this way.
No.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Tell
Yeah.
Stanley to beat it. He has the freedom of speech because it's protected by second. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I'm not going to harp on that again, but it's just open dialogue. And if you come in a respectful way and talk about it and just tell me your opinion, I'm totally open for, dialogue on there. But if you don't like it, start your own channel.
Well, it's like,
I mean,
it's like, we have a troll that always comes on about every other video, and we've invited him on the channel almost every time, because all he says, "Oh, you're pushing false information. I'm like, please come on the channel. Like, let's have a conversation. If I'm hurting the industry, come on and share your view to help our audience see the other side of you. But he or she will never take up that. So we're iron sharpens iron, and we're always willing to talk to people who have different views than us.
Yeah, and I want to make it apparent to people too. I'm not like everybody has their own lifestyle. Everybody's their own way. Everybody has their own freedom. And that's what I believe. You can have your own freedom of life. You can do whatever you want to do. But, if you want to come in here and hide behind a comment and, not engage us publicly, then, it's not,
that's all right.
It doesn't offend me.
Yep.
So,
all right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's maybe grab one more comment and we'll go back and see
definitely
some of the great things about Idaho.
Yeah. Really like what you guys share. Well, we appreciate that. And that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. Cool.
He says, sounds like a slice to heaven to us. Yes, it definitely is.
It is.
Love it. Yeah. And Surfer Creek, Josh, we signed a lease in Low Shop Falls.
Awesome.
We are there on
Nice.
April 1st. See you soon.
Awesome, Billy. We look forward to actually meeting you in person.
Get some river surfing going on.
We do have river surfing, which I haven't told you that, Billy, but that's so exciting. So excited for you and your family getting into a better space that, you can raise kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't want to throw the slide up here though. I know you want to talk about the land usage. Let me get rid of this comment right here so you can see it. But you can run with that, Josh.
Yeah. So one thing that every single person on right here that's talking, we're proud gun owners, and we are happy that we're living in a state where almost 62% of the land is publicly owned. So we have plenty of room to roam. Now, obviously there is private land. Sometimes private land is blocking public land, which we had that happen a couple of years ago, where some Texas investors came up and blocked off a lot of these spots. But we love the open space. I have a razor. John has a razor. We go out and cruise it. John, obviously, if you guys have been following our channel, you know that he spends a lot more time on his razor than I am able to. But I still love going out hiking and camping and all that with my kids, teaching them so in my household, and I'm just going to go on a little bit of rant. On my household, we don't have a gaming system. We don't let our kids really play games other than occasionally. But what we'd like to do is take them out, and we take them hiking, or we
take your kids outdoors.
Yes,
that's the thing nowadays.
Oh
wow!
It's the downside is my boys love fishing, and I'm not a good fisherman. I am actually a horrible fisherman, but they always want to go fishing. And see, to me, I'd rather be hiking or like going, like chasing after something where they just like to fish and catch fish. And it was a riot 2 years ago. My second oldest son caught his first fish, and it was so fun. And then last summer we were on kayaks, and he hooked a fish, and it was pulling him around the lake. And those are memories that I just love making. And you're gonna make those here in Idaho, right? You're gonna make the memories of being outdoors here in Idaho, and that's one of the things that I love.
Can't beat that.
No, I mean, you guys share some of the things what you guys like to do outside.
Go for it, Cam. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll start. Anyways, we're just big into the razor. Camping's huge. So
Yeah.
starting about May, I mean, we're camping every single week, and we dry camp, which is awesome because in Idaho, I think it's whatever you can sit there for 15 days. Is it? I'd have to look again. I think it's 15 days.
Some spaces you can only camp up to 14 days,
right?
And that's changing.
Yeah.
As the state gets more populated, which is the sad part of it. Like sometimes you go to a camp spot that you thought was yours, and all of a sudden there's another camper in there.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so much space. We got to the Oahes. I mean, it's like touching a pin needle trying to find somebody out there when you're camping, which I love. Yeah, Caleb, you got anything on that?
Yeah. I mean, Spring Bear is right around the corner within 40 something days now.
Okay.
And that starts the season off of, all right, spring bear hunting to get ready for fall big game hunting, morels, huckleberries. The littles are, we made huckleberry picking so much fun for the littles that every year they're like, are we going yet? Is it time yet? When are they ready? And it's even last year. I mean, we spent maybe 6 hours picking bushes, and we got a quart full of huckleberries. It sucked, but we were out there in the dirt, in the trees, mountains. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And right now, I mean, you have your girls getting skiing lessons, right, up in Bogus, so they're shredding them out. And how old's, if you don't mind sharing, how old's your youngest daughter?
Youngest is 6, oldest is 9. And Bogus is an hour away from the Treasure Valley, easy drive. And they're shredding it. They are every day. They're like, Dad, new snow, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
That's cool.
I'm not sure if Johnny's being joking or not, but maybe he's not. He says I want to move from California to Idaho like everybody else is. I'm just wondering if there's a lot of places to get organic food and place charge for Tesla. Well, you're in luck because there's plenty. There's tons of Tesla spots, which I like Tesla.
There's some supercharging spots, but once you get into the mountains, then that's very limited. So McCall, I don't think McCall has a supercharger, but Donley does have a supercharger.
Mainly on 84, right? I mean, you kind of want to stick to 84.
Well, yeah, there are some spots once you go into the mountain. If you're heading up to
a generator,
Cascade, Donley, Cascade, Donley, but so in Donley, I believe there's a supercharger. Down here in the valley, there's a couple of supercharging stations, but then I believe Tesla's come in. And
hey, and I want to know, Johnny, did you put your order in for the Cybertruck? Just curious on there. We got a couple more questions here as well. I'm gonna have to work with a realtor that gives me his prime time mule deer and elk spot. So, Josh,
no,
that'd be you right there.
I'm sorry, the Brave movement. I would have to lose a transaction. You can't give those away.
Blood, sweat, and tears goes into that, and that's hard to give up.
From Metal Tracker, I'm looking to move to Idaho, leaving my home state of Oregon. I'm a big second supporter. Is one of the main reasons I'm leaving my beautiful home state. I love the outdoors as well.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Oregon's beautiful. Growing up, my dad's a geologist. We would go over into Oregon, do rock hounding. So Oregon's beautiful. Some of the populace there is turning it for the worse.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting,
we had a conversation today, John, remember?
Yeah.
Where somebody was looking at buying a house in Portland. They were driving down, what was that road they were driving down? Burnside.
Yeah, in Portland.
And he ran into a stream of riders, and he had to back out of it. This is a guy with some kids, and after that, I think it what
Well, I think it was during the Antifa riots where they were blockading everything, and then kind of a awakening moment, and kind of same thing when I retired from the military in 17. I love Oregon, and I mean it's a gorgeous state, but the way it became the environment for my family and the way things were becoming, and especially with taxes, politics, everything, it's just Idaho is just a better fit for us.
Yeah.
And not saying that I don't like the people in Oregon, but there's a lot of issues over there.
Yeah.
And Idaho is a better fit for us. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Caleb, I got a question for you real quick as we're talking about the outdoors. So it's spring bear. Is there still snow normally when you go hunting for spring bear?
Yeah. You know, it depends on the elevation you get at. Sometimes once you get up around Bogus Basin elevation, 5,000-6,000 feet, you're gonna run into snow on those slopes that don't get any sunlight. And then March, June, I mean, you still have the possibility of getting snow showers on you. It's Idaho springtime is beautiful, and then you'll get a dump of rain and snow on you, and 5 minutes later the sun's out and you're good.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And we have a lot of wilderness. So there's a lot of wilderness areas that I don't know if people are aware where you're not even allowed to take a mountain bike into, which makes it nice. So there's a lot of our friends like to go backpacking. I personally have never done a backpacking trip. I've hiked back into these lakes in a day and then with my kids, and then we turn around and hike back. I think they're 7 to 10 miles round trip, which is exhausting, but we try to make our kids exercise in that way. So there is a lot of wilderness, and that's one thing that I do like. The sad thing though is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but now in the mountains, sometimes I'm seeing trash where there used to not be trash. I'm seeing abandoned campers where there used to not be abandoned campers. And that does sadden me, because that used to not be in Idaho. At least I never noticed it like I am seeing it now. So if you are thinking about moving here and you like camping, just ask that you pick up after yourself.
Yeah. I'll get you another question from Brian here. What do you guys think as a general rule about home builders and pricing? Do you have any thoughts on how much room they have before losing money, or did COVID just throw everything out the window?
Yeah, that's hard. So, I don't know the builder's financials. I know how a builder analyzes a build. So, about 20% is into the dirt. So they're projecting, and then they're banking on making about 13 to 17%. Now with COVID and the huge increase in home prices, I don't know how much of that they were able to capitalize on profit, or if it got eaten up by buying too high a priced dirt, or by, with the material costs. So I'm not 100% sure. I do know some builders, we have a lot of vacant inventory that's in the $1 million price range. There's $1 million spec homes that are, sitting on the market right now. And, I'm not sure what's going to happen to those houses, or how much further they're going to come down, or if they're taking a loss right now. I know that there are smart builders out there, and I'm not trying to neglect those, that, build wisely or have very good financial backing, or maybe are building in cash. But I do think some builders are losing money.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, if you guys got questions, go ahead and submit them. I think we got a couple more minutes here. Josh, do you want to do any final thoughts or talk about anything else?
Yeah, I think the one thing that, again, I just want to kind of wrap up. I want to bring on some veterans, because we're talking about the Second Amendment here. There's the Second Amendment. We have different rights in Idaho than in other states. Now we're in one of the top 5, according to that graph that we looked over recently, as far as gun-friendly states. And we are believers in teaching gun safety. There's gun ranges here. My wife is taking, gun safety classes here in the Treasure Valley, Independence. Caleb, I believe your wife used to work at Independence, right?
Yeah.
And they have gun safety classes. They have concealed weapon classes, and where you can go and you're shooting a gun in at a range, controlled safety, so it's safe. And they're teaching all these different kind of things. And so I am a huge advocate of that, just because, we talk about guns. I'm not advocating for crazy gun owners. I'm talking about being responsible gun owners who like to maybe go hunting, or maybe just like to have self-defense. And so that's why I want to bring these guys on here, because well, they defended our country, right? And we have a big respect for veterans. You know, I mean, Jonathan's a veteran, Caleb's a veteran, my stepdad's a veteran, my grandpa who passed away, he was a veteran from the Marines. I mean, so I think there is a respect to be had for veterans, and you know, they've gone through things and their families have gone through things that, you know, we will never understand or know. And so anyways, that's my soapbox.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And kind
thank
of,
you.
yeah. And the kind of final words from me, just kind of want to reiterate, you know, just like the whole Stanley comment thing up there, this is, I don't care if you're liberal, if you're conservative, if you're, you know, Republican or whatever spectrum you stand on. Again, the only thing we're talking about here is this is our rights and our freedoms in the state of Idaho. So, you know, I'm sorry if some people can't, you know, handle that, but we can. And that's why we talk about it, because people need to know about it. And yeah, I just want to say that I'm not against anybody. I'm just enjoy our freedoms and our rights of our Constitution.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've met people that have moved to Idaho from California and other states with strict laws of capping magazines at only 10 rounds and having this and this restriction, that have come in, and not even in a gun store, it could be a grocery store. I met one guy in a parking lot. I took his shopping cart, was like, hey, I'm putting mine away, I'll put yours away. He saw my shirt on, was like, oh, is that hunting or something? And we started talking, and he was like, what do you mean I can own ammo and a gun, and I can put my own meat in the freezer, and I can have more than 10 rounds of ammo? It's like, yeah, that's your freedom. That's you know, that is your right. That's your freedom. Enjoy it.
Yeah. While it's here, that's why you have to defend it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, we come on here, this is not your typical, you know, real estate talk, but we just found it was very important because a lot of people ask about it, and it is important. And you know, we're not pushing one side, we're just presenting facts and telling people about how great Idaho is. Right.
Yep.
We do have a question here.
We have a couple things that comments
from Kevin. Medically retired at 38, so I don't need to be close to Boise or heavily populated towns, jobs. Any suggestions for locations? Kuna, Emmett, Payette County, or far north Coeur d'Alene?
So I'm gonna let Caleb answer this because he's not a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So he can give us a real honest, just raw opinion on these areas.
You know, all pretty beautiful spots now. Growing up, some of the spots were kind of there wasn't a lot of population, so growing up, Kuna was like, oh, there's nothing there. Emmett, oh, nothing's there. Coeur d'Alene has always been a high rise. Probably thank Arnold Schwarzenegger and other movie stars that moved up there and had their cabins. But
looks like we're losing them there.
Oh, we're losing you, Kib. All right, I'm going to jump in here since we're losing you. So Kuna is nice because you have a quick shot to sturgeon fishing out by Swan Falls. We used to go. There used to be a spot where we used to go shoot and set up targets, but it's kind of got a little too populated and a little too trashy. People have left their trash there. So what's nice about Kuna is, you know, it's really close. People take their razors out. But I think, John, you and I got a flat tire because of the lava rock out there, right?
I think it's because of some of the trash out there.
Yeah.
Off initial point. I mean, that's one of the areas that you're going to be talking about where people are doing that. But there's a lot of people out there cleaning it up.
But in Emmett, that there's a spot down there where I go duck hunting with my brother right there on the river. But then there's also the cycle park for people who have dirt bikes or like dirt bikes. People like, it's kind of down, so the water table is a little bit higher in Emmett. But you know, it's a great area. You're super quick to the mountains there, and it's a little bit more laid back. You're not going to have, like, if you're a foodie, Emmett may not be the right spot for you, or Kuna. But Kuna does have, in my opinion, one of the best Mexican restaurants out there.
Kuna's got Arby's now. That's a big debate on Facebook. I don't know if you guys seen that.
That's
so
funny. That's funny. Payette County is going to be a little bit more rural farm. It's going to be open, so you're not going to have as many trees. So if you like trees and you like being around the water, Payette County may not be a good fit because there's going to be farms. if you go out towards Marsing, Marsing, you have a lot of wineries out there. And then Coeur d'Alene, well, Coeur d'Alene's pretty. It's just pretty expensive right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole panhandle of Idaho is beautiful. I mean, you drop a pin and you're gonna have an awesome spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Well, that kind of wraps it up, Josh.
Sorry, we got Kev Bo Baggins has a little tip for Johnny Fly that you can vote for Tesla sites for new superchargers. So I just thought we should share that with everybody real quick.
Once per quarter, you can vote on the Tesla site and supercharger locations.
Yep.
I've been for news around here. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about them.
I didn't know that.
I like Tesla.
I didn't know that. Teslas are the self autopilot is pretty interesting. But
yeah.
All right, guys, we just want to thank you. If you haven't liked this video, again, some people have, again, for the last couple weeks. Yeah. The last couple of weeks, we've had people say, hey, we're not getting notified of your video. So if you like it, if you find any value in this, or a veteran that would find any value in the VA benefits for tax exemptions, please share it with them, like this video. And if you haven't subscribed, because I think we lost a subscriber tonight.
Yeah.
So.
And again, if you disagree with us, it's okay. Like we like dialogue. So you can come on here and tell us you disagree with us all you want, but we're here for open sides. But well, I appreciate it. And hope you guys got some value out of this, and we'll be back next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right.